Ready? Okay, public relations, PR as most people call it. There are a lot of misconceptions about what it is and where it fits into the program. And a lot of inventors don't really understand the full value to them. Okay? So we're going to go into a little bit of that. But for those of you who don't know, I've got a book up here. This one was published in November. I am one of the co-authors. Mine is chapter 16 in the book. And chapter 12 was written by Marcia Friedman, who has years and years of experience in trade shows and public relations and media. She's excellent, and it's really worth reading what she has to say about it. I didn't put in her stuff exactly because I have other things, and if you have this book, and a lot of inventors in this group do, then you want a different perspective. So I'm going to give you a little different perspective from my direction on PR. Okay. And the books here are $20, by the way. They're also available on Amazon, but you pay for shipping on Amazon. Okay. So, public relations. A lot of people think it's about sales, but it's not really the same. Public relations is more about creating relationships that give you the visibility eventually so that you can get your product out there to ultimately get customers who then may bring you sales. So it's really, before you get the sales, you need to be known that you're even out there. And that's what PR does. Right? And PR, in a lot of ways, is not something you can pay for. So we're going to kind of talk about what that means. Publicity is the result of good PR. Okay? If you have a product that the media likes, then you get publicity. Publicity is one of the most valuable things you can get because it gives you that third-party credibility, which means that it's not your mother, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, or somebody else in your inventor group who thinks you've got a great idea. It's someone remote from you that says, this is something we need to pay attention to. Okay, now, is Women's Day going to write an article or give you publicity about a tractor part? Probably not. Okay, so understanding what publicity you need and directing your PR efforts toward who's going to help you is what you need to do, or who's going to be interested in what you have. Okay. You want to start with a website. Now, why I'm saying start with a website, that doesn't make any sense. I want somebody to know about my product. Today, more than ever, the internet is the go-to. If you're talking to someone and you're at a trade show and they say, well, you know, I'd like some information about your product, don't hand them a piece of paper. They're going to want to know where your website is so they can look it up later. Your website is that marketing tool that tells the story for you, and you have already prepared the information in your website so that the content there tells them what the features are, what the benefits are, why they should be interested in your product. Okay? Some people have up a site for the end consumer of their product, and they also have a link on that site for people that want to license a product or buy it wholesale or whatever it is you're looking for in that regard. Many sites also have a section or a tab at the top that says media. Now, if you prepare a press release or information that you want the media to pick up on, that's the ideal place to put it. Okay? When you're putting together a website, realize that you don't go to one person unless they understand working with the other two. Okay? So you could pick a developer, you could pick a web designer, or you could pick a marketing person. Those three components really go together. And the two that are least alike are probably the marketing content person and the developer. The developer is the back-end sort of thing. It's the techie who makes things function. Okay? They don't know how to write content to entice media or get you publicity or how it should lay out to get the most hits on your site. They are more the back end. Let me make this button do what it's supposed to do. Oh, so you want comments enabled on your site. That's what a developer does. The web designer is more of the way something looks. Is it pretty? Do you have a logo? Do you want this, do you want all your titles at the top? Do you want buttons down the side? They're going to get you the look of the site, help you with that aspect of it. The marketing content is what's really powerful, and your homepage is the most critical. So that's where you want to focus your efforts, because people will only spend a few seconds on your homepage, and if you don't grab their attention, they're gone. When you look at analytics on a website, it's called Google Analytics does an excellent job, by the way. They have what's called a bounce rate. Now, you may think this is unusual, but if you have a bounce rate of 70%, they consider that's pretty good. 70% or less. What that means is that 70% of the people that land on your homepage go somewhere else. They leave your site. That's good. Okay? So if you can catch 30% or more that go not only your website but another page, or that stay longer on your homepage and then go elsewhere, then that's exceptional, because our attention spans are small. And when we go through the list that comes up when you do a search, you don't look at all of them. You pick one or two. And if it doesn't hit you as soon as you hit their homepage, you move on, don't you? Yeah, I do. It's like, this is not where I really wanted to be, or it doesn't address what I'm looking for. So that's why it is so very critical that that homepage really grabs someone's attention. Okay? Now, I have another website other than my business website right now. That site is not only below 70%, so they stay, but the average length of time they stay on that site is in excess of 6 minutes. Okay? That tells me that there's content there they're interested in, that they're staying there and they're browsing that site more deeply. Okay? That's what you want. Okay? So having the website as a marketing tool is because anytime you talk to someone, they're going to ask you, do you have a website? Do you experience that now in your current business, whatever it is you're doing? Yeah. Because they know the real information that they're going to want from you, if they're interested, is on your website, or it should be. Okay. You also need to decide, is your website going to be just a location that you want people to go to realize you're a legitimate business or to get information from, or is it one where you actually want to sell something? Do you want that customer to interact with you and buy something? Those are two different purposes. Okay? One is like giving out an elaborate business card, and the other is you're asking for orders and money. Now, can they be both? Yes, but you want to know that up front, because there are a lot of people who will design a website and say, well, I'll put a shopping cart in there later if I want to sell something. Right now, I just want a page. Well, and then what they realize is they can't just add that shopping cart. They may have to redo the entire site. So knowing up front where you're going with this, you can create it such to start with that you can add on, the ability to sell something there. Okay. So when you create that website, that homepage, if you're like most inventors or engineers, you start with saying, oh, that does this and it does that, and here's how it functions, and this dial does this, and here's a picture of it, and you're talking about features, the way something works. People don't really care about the features. They want to know, what's it going to do for me? How does it benefit me? What are the benefits? Then they look for the features. Okay? If it's a big pot and I can can in it, that's what I'm looking for. You need to tell me that this makes your canning easier. All of it goes in one pot. Then you can tell me it's stainless steel, it'll work on induction heating, all those details of the feature, the The features come afterwards. Does that make sense here? Okay. So you also want to encourage people to share your information. Have a place on there for your any publicity that you do receive. Get it up there immediately and leverage that. Let people know that someone else is interested. And that might mean putting a blog on the site. It might be just a little blurb on the front that says, we just got covered by the Rocky Mountain Inventors Association today. Who knows? Okay, but put something on there that the media can pick up on. Okay? Press release or media pitch. Two different things. And by the way, I have handouts here if you want to hand those around the slides. And there's also some other information. So there are instructions in this for how to write a press release. Okay? A press release is ideally 1 page in length. And you want to put in the very first What'd I do with that? I knew I had it in there before I left. Okay, so there, you'll find copies of the slides are in there, and on the front, and then there are 2 additional pages. One is a template for doing a press release, and the other is actual instructions about how to go about creating a press release. Okay. The most important line in your press release is the very first sentence or 2. If you don't catch their attention in the first sentence or 2 in a press release, that goes in the circular file, because they get hundreds of these every single day that have to be reviewed. Okay? Now, more and more media outlets are not taking press releases. They are good for things like magazines, but when it comes to TV or radio, you can try it, but what you're going to find a lot of times is that they're going to ask you to submit them online. That's different. It has to be short, concise, not an entire page. A lot of times they limit you on their website to how many characters or how many words you can actually put in there. So that's where you better do your wordsmithing and get it down really tight as to why this is important. And again, you don't go to the features. Why is this important to your listening audience? Okay. Why do they want to hear about this? Okay. If it's a magazine and you have a product that makes pole climbing for the electricity's, electric lineman easier, whatever that is, go to the journals that those companies might use, okay, whatever journal they follow, and that's where you want to get your press release out there. That's where you want to do your media pitch. Okay? A pitch, short, sweet, and to the point. Photos are always helpful. Most people are pretty visual, so photos get people's attention pretty quick. Videos can also help. So if you're putting out a press release and you're going to email the press release, which usually you don't do because they don't open attachments. It's a security issue. So if you're going to send a press release, you want to put it in the email itself. Okay? And it's nice to have a link in there to your website or to some event you went to that shows you displaying your product, whatever that is. If you have a link, that's critical. Or you're putting statistics in your press release or a quote from somebody, then you might want to link that company or that information to it. Links help. Photos, again, maybe put them in the press release if you're emailing it. Photos could be attached. They're more likely to be okay attached. because if they read the release, they may feel more comfortable in opening them. Okay? So, or they may just really read the release and not open it unless they're interested. But at least they have them when you send it. Okay? When you're doing a media release or the press release, the first thing you want to do is identify where it's going. You do not want to send it to 20 people within the same TV station or on the same magazine staff. Okay? Because that's a sure way to not get it paid attention to. Because they're going to say, well, oh, John will see it. I'm not going to look at that. John's going to look at it. John doesn't look at it because Mary got it, right? So get it specifically to the person who most needs to see it. If it's not them eventually, I mean, if that's what it looks like, they're the right person, send it there. But usually if it's of interest, they will forward it to the right person. But do your homework first and find out who that media person is that receives this information, who to mark it to their attention. So it's specific. You may even want to look at things that they've written. So go into their website and look for articles that have been written by that particular person and kind of see what flips their boat, what gets their interest, what do they want to see. If it's a magazine, a lot of times, actually most of the time now, they list the issues upcoming and what topics they're covering. Also, they will list it long in advance. So if you want to get noticed, you really need to send it to them long time in advance of it actually getting printed. So they may cover lineman, electrical magazine, may cover lineman issues. And maybe that's scheduled for November, and this is March. That's okay. Wait till November to get your information or to that specific person. Not wait till November, but they're taking that information in November. So make sure you know who that media person is in advance. Watch what they're looking at and what they write on. And then contact them. Tell them what you have, that it may be a good article for them for that November release. Okay? And give them what they're looking for. Okay? Why would their audience want to know about your product? That's engaging the individual prior to even sending the information out to them. Okay? Pitch your story, not the product, not features, but talk to them about why they should be interested in talking to you. Okay? I was a lineman for 20 years, and I ran into this problem. They're still having this problem. Okay? There's a solution to it. Okay? And here's why I came up with this solution. I've test marketed it. It's ready to go. Okay? Get their interest and tell them the story behind why you created that. And that engages them. If you're going to call someone in the media, especially TV media, call them in the morning, because later in the day is when they are putting together the information that they need to get out there the next day, their reports for the next day. So they're more likely to listen to you in the morning than they would in the afternoon. So they're either getting ready for their evening news or they're getting ready for putting stuff together for the morning, which they polish up early in the morning. Okay. Yeah.
You should focus if the story is really about an individual, not product.
Right.
Like it's primarily the individual and the products and the site.
Yeah, like what makes this interesting? Okay? One of the best products I had for getting media attention, and we got swarmed. I mean, within 24, 48 hours, it was coast to coast national publicity with AP Press, was a 10-year-old kid who created a pooper scooper. It went viral. I mean, really, really fast. And that was because we pitched the story, then the product. Was the product good? Oh, it was excellent. But it was the story that caught the media attention. That make sense? So sometimes you may have to engage a little help from someone else. Like help me find what the story is in my product. Okay? Because you're close to it. You don't necessarily know what that story is. Okay? Okay. Public relations, or PR, as it relates to social media. Here's another one. I mean, this is I'm not going to say easy. This is low cost and a wonderful way to get the word out about your product. Just, and a lot of people don't even approach this as inventors because they don't know the value that's behind it. Okay? Blogs. Now, I put with caution on here. Okay? Because if you go on to a blog site and you start advertising your product, oh, how great my product is, and here's a link to my website, a lot of blogs outlaw that. They don't want you advertising on their blog, so it has to be relevant. So again, let's go back to the lineman issue. If it's a blog about people working in the electrical industry, okay, the power industry, and they're talking about these things, and you find a blog that has something in it about issues with linemen, that's appropriate. Then they aren't going to be offended. Okay? But I'll bet a lot of us have gone on blogs or seen postings on the internet, and you kind of follow them along, and all the comments are right in line with what the topic was. And all of a sudden there's this one post in there that has absolutely nothing to do with what the original was. Is that your experience?
Oh, yeah.
You notice that?
Well, I've seen scam things like that where people click on stuff and they're like, I lost 40 pounds with these drops.
Yes. Yeah.
Click here.
Yeah. And it's spam. So the last thing you want to do is be a spammer, okay? Because you will lose your credibility pretty fast. Okay? A good place is not to get the word out about your product is create a Facebook page. It has to be linked to your own personal page, but they're really pretty separate. So if you have product X, put a Facebook page up with product X as the title of that page. Because you'd be amazed how many people search for things on Facebook that don't search for them on Google. Same thing with YouTube, videos. Put a video up on YouTube. Now, of course, this is all about having a patent pending at least, because when you do this sort of thing on social media, it's public information. So you're exposing the concept right there. So keep that in mind as you're, following social media like this. But a Facebook page is great because you can engage an audience, you can do a survey from there. There are so many things that you can create using just a Facebook page without even developing the website. You might even start there. Easy, no-brainer. Right? Get it up there while your website's being put in place. And you can even use facebook.com/ in your product name, whatever your page is. Okay. LinkedIn is a professional site, networking site like Facebook, but it's strictly about business. So this would be an excellent place if you were in the power industry. Go back to that one. If you're in the power industry and you're doing something with linemen and poles, that you get on LinkedIn and they can see that your product is directly connected to what you do as a business, which gives you extra points, by the way, because usually inventors are most likely to be successful if they're inventing in their field of expertise. That's usually a little brownie point there to get you noticed because you have some expertise there. So LinkedIn is directly connected with business. So if you're doing a product that is business to business, LinkedIn is also an excellent place for that. And you can get on there and you can actually get involved in groups that are related to your product and put up a discussion. What do you think about this? How do you deal with this problem currently? And let them talk in the thread. And then you can say, check out this page and see what you think of this. I'd really like your input. So you're engaging the audience there and getting some feedback at the same time. and it's more business related as opposed to, getting Sally, stay-at-home mom with kid who's wondering what brand of diapers is the best one to choose. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she's not likely to be on LinkedIn. Okay, so understanding your audience and who's likely to buy your product is critical in what you're doing to get the word out about it. Okay. The comments in the Facebook, LinkedIn, all of this, watch the comments about issues that might be directly related to your product. Okay. Tweets and hashtags, the reason those are really helpful. Okay. Hashtags directs people who are looking for a specific topic. They will go in and look for that particular word or hashtag, and those come up if you have the £sign and then your word. Okay. So if it's about diapers, you might put £sign diapers, £sign lineman, the hashtag solar panels, whatever that is, get it into your information that you're doing online, because that gets picked up by the search engines and people looking for that. Okay. Pinterest, keywords along with an image that you put up. If you have something that is very visual, get it on Pinterest. If you have a page, if you don't have a page, get one. Put all kinds of things up there. People that put menus up there, put craft projects, woodworking things they're doing in the garage, things they particularly like. So if it's in your industry and you've got a new tool that you've been using out in the field, put it up on Pinterest. Hey, I really like this. Okay? That gives brownie points to the website that has that product on it, but it also gets you noticed in that industry as well, because they're going to look and say, who has put our products up on Pinterest? And you come up. Well, and you just so happen to have yours up there too. Okay? So this all kind of is like a big spider web, and all of this stuff comes together, and the more you do well, the more likely you are to get interest from someone in the industry that you need to talk to get more publicity for your product. Okay? Yes?
What about reviews, like sites like Yelp and everything? Sometimes you can get some negative things that may or may not be justified. What's the best way to handle that?
You mean reviews on Yelp that are negative?
Like your product and stuff, right? You can read Amazon reviews and you'll see, extreme plus and minus on the same thing. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes going to be a competitor, sometimes somebody just being facetious.
Well, and
Sometimes it's a family member bragging things up.
that's true. That's true. And somebody who's disgruntled because you sent them an invoice 2 days later than you should have says they hate your product. It's just, you can't, I think some of it is unfairly put up there. And so as a business owner, what I would recommend when something like that happens is don't ignore it. Don't get all pissed off and, call Yelp no, put up a response to it. I have seen a very,
I've seen bad ones.
yes, a
My
very,
hotel is nice and it doesn't have roaches, and I'm like, that's not how you're supposed to say, I'm sorry you had this experience, I hope we can make it right.
yes,
Not get defensive about it.
exactly, exactly. And that is very hard to do. So sometimes it takes somebody, not you, but somebody else to write it, and then you review it and put it up. But the worst thing you can do is to really attack the person who is attacking you, because that looks worse for you. Then it says, hey, yeah, this guy was right. Okay. So you don't want to attack. You want to be as professional as you possibly can, but make them understand, that you thought it was supposed to be shipped in 2 days. Well, actually, it's shipped in 2 business days, And I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. whatever, but, clarify and then, make it nice as much as you can, even if you want to kill them.
Too much guilt if you can get sued for it.
Right. Yes. So, let's see. Did I answer the question, Roger, that you had?
Yeah, well, I know some of them, they're trying to get some credibility or authentication. So you could, get the internet spammers or what do they call them, bots, or the people that put irrelevant comments or just negative.
Mm-hmm.
I know Amazon had a deal like they have to authenticate. If you're doing a review on a product, you have to have bought the product. But that seems kind of logical, but
Yes?
some people are giving reviews on a product they didn't buy.
Well, but sometimes on Amazon, that's okay because they may have bought the same product in a retail location or from another website. But yeah, and that's okay. But I like the ones that are verified on Amazon. It means they actually bought them from Amazon. It's true. Okay. But you have to kind of weigh what's being said. And there are sometimes a review is put up that looks pretty obvious, like it was from the person whose product it is. Okay. Aunt Mary put up a review for me, that kind of thing. So, when you're looking at reviews, don't just stop at one. Hopefully there are multiple reviews there and you can look at more of them. That really helps. And like I said, don't shy away from responding to them. If there's a negative review up there, respond to it. Okay. And yeah, there.
It's just changed my mind a lot about companies, how they respond.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I was going to cancel, but since you responded so nicely, I don't want to now.
That's right. That's right. And sometimes, somebody who's not happy with your product, you can kind of calm them down by the fact that you actually paid attention. That helps too. Or on the site, you can even say, contact me directly and we'll resolve this. Okay. But again, be nice about it. Okay. Publicity is what the result is from doing the public relations and blogging and the media stuff and all this work that you have to do, putting up your website, is you want someone to recognize it and put something out there. Keep in mind when you're going to these different places, and I'll reiterate this, remember who their audience is, okay, and the timing. Because TV, they want to know something that happened today. Maybe yesterday, but what's relevant today? What are key issues that the media is concerned about today? And the worst thing you can do is try to get publicity over an election time because the airwaves are full. Okay? And no one's paying attention to anything but politics, or they've shut it off completely if they are tired of hearing all the political advertising. So, keep in mind about that. Trade journals, trade shows, there's a lot you can do for publicity with trade shows that takes a lot of planning prior to going to the show, during the show, and following the show. And if you don't do your research about your trade show in advance, you'll get there and I'll guarantee you will be sorry because you will miss big opportunities. And I think the biggest one that I've noticed that's missed at trade shows is the publicity that's attached to new product areas. Because new product areas are the ones that are almost always visited by every person that comes in that door. Because everybody wants to know what's new, what's different, what did this company come out with? Oh, they've got inventor products back there. Fabulous, I'm going. The traffic at the National Hardware Show in the inventors area in particular beats the rest of the trade show because everybody wants to see what's new and upcoming. And the companies who are coming to buy products, whether your product is actually ready to be purchased or not, they want to know what's in the pipeline. Okay? They want to know what you've created or what's coming around. What will they get? And if they really want it, they may get someone else involved and say, hey, look, this guy needs some help. And they'll come around and give you a card and say, contact this guy because we really like your product, but you're nowhere near ready for us yet. Here's somebody that might help you. So get in that new products area. There are also some prizes. It's a little bit extra. Sometimes it's $200, sometimes it's $600 to get in that area. Trust me, that is not the place to skimp. Pay it, be there, because that is money well spent. Okay? Usually you cannot get in that area unless you're also exhibiting. So look, even if you found a spot at the trade show that's low cost, that's okay if you're going to get in the product area, new products area. I mean, if you're going to make a trade-off, lower where your booth is and get your product into that particular new product area, because that's where the media comes. A lot of times they'll come to the show and that's the only place they go to. They're not going to walk an entire floor or several buildings of a trade show, but that area is where they're going to definitely be there. And also a media packet is important at trade shows. Having that ready in advance with a press release, with all your information, photos, and everything else. Most trade shows have a special room for the media. And you want to make sure that your PR packet is in there. Because it may be that they only come pick up the packets that they're interested in and leave. And if your packet is well done, they can go through your information and pull their press release right out of that, or the information they want. Trade journals are also at these shows. So if you're going to an industry show, find out where the booth is for that particular publication, because you want them to take a look at your product as well. You may get a free article in there about your product. I mean, that's ideal. Another way of getting that kind of publicity is to have an article prepared before you even go to the show. Because if you know that trade publication's there, that journal is there, okay, prepare the article. So all they've got to do is take your information and put it in. There's nothing more a journalist likes than for you to make their job easy. If they can go back home when they're tired from the trade show and they can say, well, look, I need to put out some info. Oh, this guy's already got it ready. Photos are here. Everything's here. Man, this makes it easy for me. I don't have to do all the work. Okay? Are they going to be more likely to put yours up? Yes. Even if somebody else's product is maybe even better. So those are just some little things that are little tricks of the trade for getting attention. Okay? We ended up with one client who got on the Today Show because we just happened to be at the trade show and they came into the media area, okay, and found this product. So you never know who is at a particular trade show. I also know that Jay Leno used to frequent some of these trade shows, especially the ones with the inventor areas. And, of course, it may not be the best thing in the world to be on late night shows. I mean, because they're going to make fun of things, or it's not necessarily the kind of publicity you want. But there's publicity there too. So, it just depends on what kind of publicity. If you got a really weird product, but it's a great product, hey, it might be a terrific place to be on. But the timing is important. Because if your product is not ready to be sold and you get on one of the late night shows like that, you just blew your opportunity because you have nothing to sell. And then you become old news when your product is ready. So timing of all of this is so important as you're taking a product forward. Okay, bloggers and people who tweet. People blog and tweet about their area of interest. So if you find a blogger that's blogging about mosquito control, okay, pest control, who knows? Okay, somebody's blogging about everything you can imagine. Find that person. Have them blog about your product. Okay, whatever your industry is, get them involved. Hey, take a look at this. What do you think? Of course, it could backfire on you, but, get the publicity. So there are many, many different ways to get the publicity or what it is you're looking for. And it's really about finding out what you can afford to do, what you have the skills to do, what you need to sub out, and how much of it you need. So all of those are a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself, because I've gone over a lot of different alternatives for you here. So you can see that there's a complexity just to the public relations end of this that has nothing to do with how well the product's made, right? It's pretty different. It's really about directing the information to who would most likely use your product. So, any questions? It's just
What are some of the better values in advertising? Like, I think radio's kind of out these days. Um, Maybe online's pretty inexpensive because there's so much of it, but you don't get much attention. I don't know, it's just, it's very dynamic.
it
I'm
is.
just kind of wondering,
There are a lot of
you can
options.
spend
You
a
can.
ton of money and not get much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And knowing which will work best for your particular product is important. Because if it's a consumer product, Facebook may be your best option to get some information out. You can spend as little as $20 on Facebook advertising and they'll reach 1,000, 2,000 people.
I know that YouTube, depending on the product
Mm-hmm.
and how expensive it is to just make it. I know for
Yeah, because you
health
can
and
be in
beauty,
specific channels.
yeah, you can send people products because they want products for free, and sometimes they won't even require payment, and they'll review it on there. Especially like subscription boxes, like Birchbox. I go on YouTube to make sure things are real and people get products, so it really works, at least for me.
Yeah,
They get me that way.
we had a pitch at the Capitol Summit last week. There was a company that they were going to try to collaborate and facilitate this thing where companies, it had to be more like consumer products that are like lower moderate value.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's beauty product. You send someone a new face cream. You say, okay, you're a blogger, right? You might have a channel, you got some following. We'll send you product free if you use it and talk about it a little bit. So it's kind of a product placement like they've been doing in the movies for a while, but on a lower level.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed kind of freaky because it's like you're a company, right? And you send this product to them, and it's like they may not like say the right things. There's no
It's true. You can't control anything they print.
yeah.
And that goes for sending things to trade journals for product reviews. You know, they may test it and find out it fails miserably. You don't. You're putting it out there. Okay. You can also do a lot of surveys online too, to get people to interact with you and give you some feedback. And some of those can be public or they can be private. Just depends on how you want to leverage that for yourself and your product.
I've heard of people like they're actually using Kickstarter more to judge public reaction to a product than to get funding. Like they've already got funding,
Mm-hmm.
kind of using it as a forum to get feedback.
Mm-hmm. See if anybody's interested in donating at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get no funding, well, that should tell you something. Yeah. And of course, I've seen a lot of things on Kickstarter get enormous amounts of money. And from my experience, I know there's no market for them. And that's kind of sad, but somebody made a lot of money. Just depends. But the average person doesn't really know a lot of times looking at a product whether it has legs and will actually make it in the marketplace or not.
We know at our last, I hate to talk too much, but
Yeah,
Paul,
go ahead.
at our last meeting,
Yes.
he was saying the number one thing is define your market.
Yes.
Team is overrated, and the product, how an investor looks at things, the product's maybe 15, 20, 25% of your success potential. The team's maybe 30 or 40, but this big chunk is like, what's your market out there, and how
Mm-hmm.
well can you exploit it?
Mm-hmm. That's like the
That's
foundation.
the hardest thing to do, and like at the Capitol, he was shooting down companies left and right. Like they kind of had some interesting technologies, but they were like the market they were reaching just like they were going to sell to the government or something. It's like they don't know.
They have no idea about
Getting
how to get,
into
yeah.
like this whole thing of like, well, I guessed at the market, but I have the estimate, so that made it conservative.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's really when you get this impression it's naive to someone. I go, well, it's $1 billion market
And right away, the BS meter goes right up to the top at that point.
I
And
know.
it's like it's the wrong way to do it. You're going top down and you're starting somewhere and it's just pie in the sky. You got to come bottom up and how do you get it going?
That's right. And they call those tranches too with investing, because an investor's just not going to give you all the money up front and put it in your bank account and say, hey, great, go for it. No, they want to know what you're doing and what that first tranche or segment, what is the stage of your product going forward. That's what they'll fund to start with if they're interested in it. They're not going to give you all the money. They're going to give you a little bit. See how you manage that. Then they go, the next. So, you have to be a little more realistic, but he was right on that. But see, being from a marketing background, I assume that people start there, but they don't. Okay? That's the sad part of it. Because if there's no market for your product, why bother?
Well, that's kind of like the right way to do it. You start with the end. Like, this is the market I want to serve. I see a niche to exploit. I'll come up with a product for that niche instead of coming up for a product and looking for a market. Where's it going to fit?
Right. And how unique is your product compared to what else is out there now? Because if it's only a little bit better and it's got a huge price difference, your probability is not going to be that great. So something's got to change there. And that's where getting, outside help and the team of experts who have their area of expertise to work with you to make sure this happens. And a team doesn't mean you hire employees. It means you have a consultant that you trust and want to talk to regarding the intellectual property, patent attorney, business attorney, marketing, website development, all those different components you need to get some information about and from people that have expertise in those areas. Okay. Any other questions?
Well, if anyone doesn't have a logo or anything like that, have you heard of Fiverr, the website?
I've heard of it. I haven't used it.
I've had some good
Mm-hmm.
on there. And I don't know, you might be able to tell me, but I read in their terms because I was worried about intellectual property because I'm like, this is somebody's making this and giving it to me. But they claim in their terms that once it goes from seller to buyer, that the intellectual property rights transfer.
Right.
And I'm like, I have the receipt, so.
Elance is another one like that. Have you heard Elance? Yeah, it's excellent too.
It's like that?
Yeah, I just had a logo done by a company in the UK for $50.
What was it?
I got a logo, complete identity done for $50. They compete.
What was the company called?
Elance. Mm-hmm.
And then there's Fiverr.
Yeah.
It's like 5 with an extra R. So
Mm-hmm.
Fiverr. And a lot of those people are from other countries, so $5 makes sense because it means a lot there. But then I get the people from America, and I'm like, really? But they try to upsell you sometimes. They'll say, you can pay $20 more to get it in a day instead of 5 days. And of course, when you're starting a business, you're like, I don't want to wait. I want it now.
Right. Well, and some of them too, you have to, when I'm working for a client, if I'm working with Elance people, I know certain ones are credible. I look at their background, what they've developed before I even use them, and sometimes I'll source more than one. I may source with 3 different people from different countries even to give a variety.
Countries on there as well.
Yeah.
Well, too, I only go with top sellers on Fiverr, and I don't know if they have that on there.
Yeah, well, they don't necessarily have them ranked, but they have the level of experience, how many projects they've done, what people's feedback is. You leave feedback about the project. So there are a lot of ways of getting things done, that can save a lot of money, especially for inventors. Because if you go to a good graphic designer here, a good one, just to get your logo done and maybe the business cards, you're looking at about $1,500. That's the norm.
I was shocked because I was like, I wonder if this is going to work.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had any bad luck on there. I had someone write a blog article, and I did check it to make sure
That's tough.
Copied them, and I could tell on her description she didn't speak English. It was like broken English. I was like, how is she gonna write a business blog?
Right.
And so I was like, oh, okay, but I
Mm-hmm.
checked his in plagiarism, and and I still gave him credit on my blog that it
Mm-hmm.
was from him, even though I didn't have to. But I was like, I'm not taking credit for this.
Right. Yeah, that's.
I've had good luck with it. If anybody
I've had a client
just
that
needs cheap work.
really likes it for a specific program, and he's got guys from Eastern Europe and South America, so it was able to like pull together a lot of talent for not an extreme amount of money. Because originally he was trying to do it locally,
Mm-hmm.
and it was harder.
Yes.
So I think it depends if it's the kind of work that can telecommunicate well, like graphics, verbal text stuff, and the software that can work that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't say everything, and I think sometimes you need someone with the expertise to look at the overall marketing direction, because even logos, I had to run through quite a few because they weren't coming back conveying the message I wanted to convey.
Did you have to pay for them, even though you didn't accept them on that one?
I did. Yeah.
I think that's how. I know Fiverr. It depends. See, they upsell though, so they'll say $10 extra, and then I'll do as many revisions as you want. But if you
Oh, well, see that I didn't have that with Elance. No. But I did have situations where I'd send it back and say, "No, this isn't right." This,
did they fix it?
yes, yeah.
Why don't we take a break?
Yep. Let's take a break and then come back and we can talk about anything you'd like to talk about.